I bet you would have never guessed that the nursing process is actually the perfect framework for building apps. And in today's masterclass, I'm going to share with you the model that I have been able to use to make multiple five figures in my business simply by using my knowledge as a nurse as well as AI. Now, one of the things that I always love to do when I do these master classes is two things. Number one, I love to help people understand just how valuable their skills actually are. So many of us, we know that we are getting underpaid for the work we're doing, but we simply don't know what else we could do to be able to actually increase our income. So, my goal is today is if you have the opportunity to learn something that you feel gives you a spark of inspiration, that gives you an idea for how it is that you would be able to leverage your nursing knowledge in a new way and to ultimately be able to be more in control of what and how you earn, then I just ask for permission at the end of today's masterclass to share an opportunity with you to be able to take what it is that you've learned to the next level. And indeed, if that is something that you will grant me permission to do, I would love to actually hear that in the chat. Just go ahead and drop that in the chat and just say yes. If I've got your permission to share something that will allow you to be able to step into what it is that you've actually heard today, in the event that what you hear today is valuable. One thing I also want to share with you all is that anytime that I do these master classes, I always love to be able to actually build an app live for somebody, just so that you can understand how straightforward this is. And I see we've got some yeses in the chat, so that is excellent. Thank you for granting me that permission. So if you have an idea for an app that you've maybe been thinking about, something that will be personally for you, maybe something that you would actually share with others, that you would potentially offer as a paid app, I want you to actually just start thinking about what that could be. And when the time comes, I'm going to ask you guys to drop that into the chat so that we have an opportunity to actually just show you in real time how possible this is for you. My goal is to, as I said, make it very clear that this is something that you can do, that no, you don't need to have a crazy technical background, and that the opportunity is greater than it ever has been. So, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to share a little bit of a presentation with you all. And I would just ask that if this is enticing to you, that you just let me know, because ultimately speaking, my goal is to actually just add value to all of you that have taken the time on this Wednesday afternoon to see what this random guy from the internet has to say. And if it is indeed valuable, then, like I said, we'll just chat about an opportunity for how you can actually take your knowledge to the next level. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And in just a moment, you should be able to see this slide right here that says Make Money with AI Masterclass. If you can see it, just go ahead and say, I see it in the chat, so I know that we're ready and locked in to go. Let me just make sure. Looks good on my end, but doesn't matter if it looks good on my end. We're just trying to make sure that you guys are also able to see what it is that's on the screen. Just need one person say, I see it. There we go. Thank you, Christina. I do appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. My goal is to be able to show you a clear, simple, and straightforward process that will allow you to turn everyday problems, those things that frustrate you, those things that make you say, why does it have to be built like this? Why can't it work like this? And to then show you a pathway to turn that keen problem solving mind that you've developed over years of nursing practice, or even just years of nursing school, into something that adds value on a systemic level and compensates you for what you are actually worth. First of all, though, who's this man yapping on the screen? For those of you who I have not had the pleasure of interacting with previously, my name is Tim Yabiola. I'm a registered nurse. I have a certification in ProSci. I do not have a master's degree. I do not plan to get a master's degree. I do not have a background in coding. I will never take a coding class because I have learned that the nursing process is indeed the perfect framework. But how did I figure all that out? Well, of course, I went to nursing school, graduated with a bachelor's of nursing in 2015, not a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. This is something that I think might be unique to Canada. We've got some different spots or different institutions that still do the Bachelor of Science. I don't know what the difference is. We all be making the same amount of money where I live, so it doesn't matter. but I have spent a lot of time in different positions that have allowed me to just develop a systemic view. My clinical background is in inpatient child and adolescent mental health. Did a little bit of outpatient there, and since 2019, I've become more and more engrossed in the world of clinical informatics. Now, you guys in the States may know it as nursing informatics. It's all the same thing. It actually doesn't matter. Informatics is informatics, and the work does look different depending on where you work and the system you're working in. But for those who don't know, informatics is just using your nursing knowledge to be able to make system level changes in the EMR. Now, because I have always had a systemic view, I always like asking questions around why is a system set up this way? Who made it that way? Why do they want to keep it that way? And who is benefiting from having it be that way? So that's why I have a very strong desire to participate in quality improvement, data analysis. These are things that just make me a little bit nerdy, yes, but they are also the reason I have been able to use my nursing knowledge and AI to be able to build a completely new stream of income. I am the founder, director, and chief automation officer. I'm sure you are like, what is CAO? That's what it is, chief automation officer. Sometimes I call myself chief AI officer, depending who I'm talking to, but this is a position that you guys should get used to seeing. This is a crucial position that is going to be more and more ingrained in how it is that we run business. I built my consulting firm to six figures in just under 12 months. We have since more than doubled what it is that we have done last year at this point this year, which is just a very huge blessing and a testament to the value of nursing knowledge when it's not stuck at the bedside. And I have developed lots of solutions, both in the corporate side of things for where it is that I work, but most importantly for my clients, which is why I want to share exactly that process with you today. So who's this masterclass for? I'm sure most of you here are nurses, but if you are not, just know that this is not only for nurses. You got to understand branding and marketing. I'm a nurse, so I'm going to talk to nurses, but this is by no means something that is specific to nursing. Yes, we're going to talk about the nursing process and as well as the theory that I have developed based off of the nursing process. But if you're a nurse wanting to leave the bedside, this is for you. If you're a nurse who currently works in the bedside, just drop that in the chat. Say bedside. If you are a nurse who, for example, maybe works outpatient, then tell us that. But if you're not a nurse, just type in what it is that you actually do for work. Let's see, I'm curious to know who our audience is today. But even if you aren't a nurse, I am sure that you are here because you will have a problem solving mindset, whether it's problems just for yourself, whether it's problems for the people that you work for, whether it's people in your life that you want to be able to add value to. And yeah, I see we got George who's working bedside. Nice, nice, nice. Anybody else? Is it just George that's working bedside? That would be surprising. Oh, I see we got Joshua who works in CDI and quality. Love that. That is one of my favorite areas. Some people think we're nerdy, but we know that we're the ones who keep things going. Who else we got? We got Robin, who works as an instructor for psych and quality and nursing math. I've never heard of a nursing math instructor. We need that, though. We definitely need that. We do have Althea. Oh, great to see you, Althea. I know she working outpatient. Althea is a great example of what can happen when you leverage your nursing knowledge effectively. I won't put you on blast though. And we got Chibuzo, who's also working bedside. I figured most of the nurses who we typically do see in inside of these master classes are nurses who just know that they could be doing so much more, but they chain to the bedside. I don't like to really use the word chain, but those of you who still work bedside, you know why I said that. And then we got Christina, who's also working bedside. Love that. And so this is for you. You're in the right place. And then if you're also a nurse who wants clear examples to get to the next step, I have faith that you will receive that today. I never liked these just like really theoretical things where you're like, oh yeah, I feel good. I feel excited, but what can I do with that? You'll have the answer to that by the end of today's masterclass. We're going to start off with the 3 myths that prevent people from starting. I have conversations each and every day with nurses in my DMs on the ads that I run, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's just out and about, people sending me emails that they say, I want to do this, but I can't because of XYZ. Just today, I was having a conversation with a nurse who said that the reason she's not able to get into an informatics position is because they're looking for people with an IT background that have the ability to write JavaScript code. Well, I've been in informatics for 6 years and never once have I been asked to write a line of JavaScript. And even if I was in this day and age, I can just get ChatGPT to do that for me. I could even get Copilot, which I know that not everybody's allowed to use ChatGPT where you work, but most companies now, healthcare organizations, they use Microsoft. Microsoft's got Copilot. And so, really, the problem is that this person thought that she needed to learn some advanced coding language to do nursing informatics work. But then I asked her, how many positions have you applied for in the last 3 months? And her answer was zero, because she just assumed that she was not qualified, which is tough. So don't let these myths hold you back from maximizing your nursing knowledge and maximizing your income. The first one we're going to be talking about today is that you need to learn how to code. You do not. There's the spoiler. I already told you, you don't need to learn how to code to be able to create an income with AI. The reality is that we have all of these no-code tools, and we won't be getting into all the specifics today, but there's a platform called make.com that allows you to just chain different things together. There's another platform called N8N, the letter N, the number 8, the letter N. And you can build real powerful solutions with these tools that don't actually require you to know how to code. You can also leverage existing AI solutions. I mentioned Copilot earlier. For anybody who works in an organization that uses the Microsoft suite, you've seen Copilot starting to pop up in your email, maybe on your Teams, maybe the little icons popped up on your computer. This is a AI chat bot or a large language model that has the ability to do a lot of things. It's not as powerful as some of the other ones, but you can do a ton with that. And it's just chilling there on your desktop. Have you used it? Have you looked into it? The reality is that your clinical experience is actually a superpower. And the reason why is because these AI tools, that's what they are, tools. It's about the wielder and how they wield that tool. And the more experience you have, the more committed you are to being able to grow what it is that you're capable of doing. And the more committed you are to improving patient outcomes. Because really and truly, that's what this is at the end of the day, the ability to use your nursing knowledge to improve outcomes on a systemic level. Let's remember why we're here. We all became nurses because we had a desire to help each other and to help others. So let's keep that in mind. You have a lot of options for how you can do this. You don't need to go in and take a course or a certification. No, don't do that. Just leverage your nursing knowledge effectively. The second myth, that you need a lot of money to get started. Spoiler alert, that's also not true. Minimal investment, maximum growth. Well, how does that happen? The reality is that we live in a world where you no longer need to go to the bank to start a business. Personally, I am very biased against any sort of business that requires a storefront, that requires property, that has you paying utilities. I'm not a fan of that. And the reason why I'm not a fan of that is because it's going to cost you a lot of money. Why would you set yourself all the way back to then make more money, maybe, if you could just make money from the beginning? That's why I'm a big fan of these no-code tools, of these automation tools. Yeah, some of these tools, most of these tools, in fact, they're $20 a month. And people are like, oh, I don't want to pay for that. That's okay. Then keep doing what you're doing. But I know for a fact that you'd be paying Netflix $17.99 a month. I know for a fact you probably also have Disney Plus, probably also got Hulu, probably also got what else? HBO Max. If you were to just count up the streaming services for entertainment, distracting yourself from all of the tough work you have to do on your night shifts, not getting to actually see your family, and now you're just wanting to unwind by yourself and bed rot for 3 days, then if that's working for you, keep it up by all means. But for me, when I saw an opportunity to start learning these tools, yeah, did I go a little bit crazy? Yes, don't do what I did. Pick one tool, which is what we'll talk about in a bit. But they're accessible. You don't even have to pay for them in the beginning. ChatGPT is free to start. Claude is free to start. Notebook LLM is free to start. And it's beautiful because we're in an era right now where nursing knowledge is starting to be recognized as a crucial part of these AI implementations. Learn one tool, teach somebody else how to do it. That is a very profitable business model. And we'll talk about that near the end of today's masterclass. So don't worry about having to spend all this money in the beginning. No, I see Robin mentioned I did leave out Apple TV. I ain't gonna lie. Apple TV was great. I am more of an anime guy. I talk about that openly. I'm never going to be ashamed to speak about anime. I am an anime evangelist going around spreading the good news of anime to the people. However, there was one show I watched this year that blew my mind, Severance. If you haven't seen Severance, I'm not going to tell you to get Apple TV just so you can watch it. But if you have Apple TV and you haven't seen Severance, you're missing out. Robin, let me know. Have you seen Severance? Amazing. Myth number 3, that the market is saturated. Now, this is an interesting one because every now and then you'll hear people say, oh, AI is the future and this is what's going to transform everything and everybody's going to lose their jobs. I'm sure as a nurse, you're like, well, AI is never going to be able to take my job. And if you're working bedside, that is correct for now. For now. AI is probably never going to do dressing changes, but AI will never be able to express empathy, to do a soft pat, appropriate pat on the back, to comfort somebody when they've lost a loved one. AI will never be able to do that. But you know what AI could do? AI could, for example, they could develop a system where you have, man, what's the name of that thing? Anyways, it's that little thing where you go in to get your meds after you put in the patient's information and your information. It'll come to me. Somebody remind me in the chat what that thing is called. And they could, for example, get a little mobile one that follows you around and says, okay, we got Miss Johnson in room 103, and it scans Miss Johnson's wristband, and then it scans your ID and pops out the meds for you. That will definitely mean that we don't need med nurses if we got a little bit of an AI bot that follows us. But in this, thank you, Pixis, represent. There we go. Thank you, April. Appreciate. Robin, appreciate. Yes, the Pixis machine. We can get a little portable Pixis that is AI powered. But the reason why the market is far from saturated is we haven't even started to scratch the surface. Just, I think it was, last month, we had both Oracle, who is the company that created Cerner, which honestly is trash, and then Epic, which of course creates the Epic EMR system. They both released their roadmap for AI integration. Some of you may already be working in organizations where you are starting to see these AI features roll out in Epic. And Oracle, they realized that Cerner was just not going to catch up to Epic. They're going to retire Epic and release this brand new, from the ground up built AI tool. So in healthcare, I'm not exaggerating when I say we are probably at 1% of where AI is going to be. I'm not kidding you. And so what this means is that while nurses will never be replaced by AI, nurses who use AI effectively will be taking the jobs. So this is your opportunity to learn it. Don't think that you safe. Don't think that you safe just because you're a nurse. I guarantee you that and there are some people who are already working in areas. I know somebody who has actually a very successful AI consulting firm, AI education consulting firm for healthcare, who was working in a really, really, really nice position, and they just dissolved her whole department. They didn't realize that they were building the systems and the tools and the AI agents that were going to take their jobs. And once the work was done, they just dissolved the entire department. Terrifying, isn't it? And sometimes people are thinking that, okay, well, I don't want to be a part of that. Well, at the end of the day, we either guide, lead, direct the change, or we are just overtaken by it. For me, I want to be in the former group. What about you? It's only starting. So don't let anybody tell you that it's oversaturated. You are still early. You start today, I guarantee you that you are still going to be in the top 1% of adopters. You guys remember the normal distribution curve that we learned in this one stat class that we probably had to take? We are at like the beginning part of where the curve just starts to lift up a little bit. We also have very unique needs in healthcare. HIPAA, patient privacy, persuading patients that they can trust AI. They're not going to take that from a doctor. We all know that when somebody needs to hear something that's going to help them feel better about what it is that's going on, it's not going to be the doctor. The doctor is going to give them the facts and ensure informed consent. Well, at least they'll try. But then we have to go in and we need to interpret what it was that the doctor just dropped on this person. Especially Althea, I'm sure you see tons of that in oncology where you were. And this is going to be no different. When we start having AI agents calling patients where it's a secure HIPAA compliant line, and it's a pre-surgery, let's say, checklist, which is actually what Epic had announced, that there's going to be, they haven't got the full one yet, but there's going to be AI agents that you can chat with, a little chat bot, where it's going to go through your checklist of pre-surgery, for example. And then it's going to pass that information on to the outpatient clinic to say, this is what Ms. Johnson has done. This is what she's missing. Maybe we need to ensure that this gets done. Make sure she's got that colite done before she comes in for that colonoscopy. At the end of the day, it's going to be us, the nurses, who are smoothing this implementation. Make no mistake. It's not going to be systems. It's not going to be doctors. It's definitely not going to be IT. It's going to be you and I. So let's leverage that clinical insight, the patient experience, understanding what it means to talk to a human in front of us, what it means to make that appropriate physical touch when it is needed, and leverage that to be able to actually build something that's going to create an impact. Because more than anything else, we need to be able to leverage things like change theory. I mentioned earlier that I have a ProSci certification. That's a certification in change management. That is a key part of why it is I've been able to do what I do. So I love that. Great point, Robin. Also brought up this piece here about AI to answer call bells with prioritization and delegation. I love that. Maybe you should make that idea. That's great. Based on maybe the person's diagnosis, their most recent set of vitals, their ins and outs, that it's going to use an algorithm to do that. But remember, like if we think about it this way, patients can be like, oh, so now AI is going to decide whether or not I get help. People will be very averse to that. I think what you just shared is a genius idea, because I know how effective that could be, but it's not going to be the news or the hospital system or the administrators that are selling that to patients. It's going to be us. It's going to be like, oh, actually, no, what this means now, Ms. Johnson, is that when you really are in need of us, that's when we're going to ensure that you are prioritized. Right? I love that. That's a great idea, Robin. The reason why nurses are going to excel at this is because the nursing process begins with assessment. We all remember that is literally one of the first things we all learn: empathy and the nursing process. And it all starts with assessment. The reason this is absolutely crucial is you would be shocked at the number of people who, for example, have a really good idea. That sounds good. Not as good as the idea that Robin just had, but that sounds good on paper. And they run with it because they're like, we want to be the first to market with this. Did they assess? Did they do any market analysis? Did they check to see if this is actually needed? No, they just thought it was a genius idea. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with somebody who is now working in a different organization, but they were working for a startup for 5 years, working on a product that when they launched, nobody cared, nobody bought, nobody invested, and they literally wasted 5 years of their professional life. I shouldn't say waste, they learned, but 5 years of their professional life working on something that actually added no value to anybody. For me personally, that would be painful. So this is why we got to assess. And it's no different here. So this is the formula that I promised y'all when you registered for this masterclass. This is the formula that I used to be able to create 10K so far this year off of mini apps. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. One problem, one tool for one client, and we build it, collective fee for that, maintain it. That is a monthly retainer. How many of y'all would like to be able to develop passive income as a nurse? If that's you, just go ahead and put that in the chat there. Just say passive income. If that would be something that would be helpful for you as a nurse, $2,000 a month in passive income. Would that be helpful? Would that change anything for you? 3,000, maybe 5,000. What would that change anything for you? Tell me, what would be the amount of passive income that would make a significant difference in your life? Just drop that in the chat there. Drop that in the chat there. Oh, I see we got some money signs from Robin. Oh, I love it. See, let's see who else. Okay. Yeah, we got April also wanted some passive income. I respect that. You gotta claim it. If you don't claim it, as the good book says, you ask, you do not have because you do not ask. Right? Who else? Okay. We see we got Rupinder also. George, love that. And Joshua. Oh yeah, Robin, absolutely. She came back to declare, I want to be a 7-figure nurse. Then make sure you stay to the end. Let's chat about how we're gonna make that happen. Claim it. Oh, okay. We see. I like that. Yeah, we got more than a few. Oh, we going big. Rupinder. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Any amount? Yeah, any amount is good. That was me in the beginning. I'm like, literally anything. I can definitely relate to that. 2,500 in passive. Okay. 10K. A month, Joshua? I respect that. When I hit my first 10K month, it was a revolutionary moment for me. In fact, it snuck up on me. It snuck up on me. I didn't realize it until I counted at the end of the month. 2,500, Christina. Yeah, I think most of us, that would be tremendously helpful. And John Martin's, I like that. Passive income, good. So we're all on the same page here. This is what it takes to be able to do that. You build something, make sure it's valuable. And this is why, again, let me take a step back. I've been talking about building apps this whole time. The reason we pick one tool, one simple solution for one client is because we are not IT professionals. We got to give it to them. There's a reason these folks go to school for 4 years to learn this. There's a lot that goes into building an enterprise grade app. For me, I'm in the middle. For some of you may have known, if you've met me on LinkedIn, maybe you've seen some content recently where I've been talking about this. Me and my co-founder Courtney Mansbridge are about to launch our AI platform that teaches soft skills using AI voice agents. And that it was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do, because it does need to be a secure app, because we are aiming for it to be enterprise grade. But the thing is I already know I'm going to need to partner, and we're going to talk briefly about this at the end. We're going to need to seek out funding. We're going to need to seek out investors, but we're going to go the accelerator program where they just give you grants to be able to build. And then I'm going to hire those IT folks, but I've done the bulk of the work. Now we just need them to make sure that everything is nice and clean. But that's why we pick one problem to solve in the beginning. We're not building these large scale apps that are, if something breaks, now it's on you as somebody who doesn't have a coding background to fix that. No. One simple thing. So what's an example of a simple app that you can use using this formula? We're going to get to that. The reason I wanted to just pause here for a moment is that in order to get to the point where you can build one tool, one solution, one client, and collect that monthly retainer, in order to do that, you need to get comfortable using AI. You need to understand. Oh, I see. Hold up. We got some other people that were talking about passive income here. Boozer, 20K a month. I like that. You got to be ambitious. 7-figure. I love that you guys are aiming high. Let me bring myself back. You got to get comfortable using AI in your workday. So what are some examples? Save time on repetitive tasks and summaries. So folks who are working in outpatient, this one's for you. If you are, for example, creating teaching packages, if you have to create summaries, or if you have to create, let's say, discharge recommendations, use AI to build the template. Don't ever put patient information into an AI system, ever. Don't be foolish. Okay? Remember, HIPAA. Be wise. But what you can do is you can actually put in like made up data. You can ask AI to make up some data. Say, we're going to talk about Ms. Granny Smith Apple. She's 57-year-old, coming out of a hip replacement. Let's build a teaching discharge package for her. And then you can use that as a template. Anything that you're having to do manual work on, start using that. We have an AI, we have a clinical safety leader who used to have to review rows and rows and rows and rows of Excel spreadsheets data. What did I do? I showed her how to just use Copilot to be able to actually quickly summarize that data easily. What used to take her 5, 6, 7 hours on a bi-weekly basis is now taking her 10 minutes because she has the knowledge, and now she's applying her knowledge to AI. Use it to communicate. For me, the first tool that I built that added tremendous value to me was simply an email consultant that I would write my email and I would get it to check for spelling errors, word choice errors, grammatical errors, and that's it. I told it specifically, do not change my tone. And it was phenomenal. The amount of time that I spend rereading my emails to make sure there's no typos or spelling mistakes is, I don't even want to tell you. But now this tool that I built, very simple. It's not even really a tool. It's a chat that I have where I say, this is what I want you to do. This is what I don't want you to do. And I just drop the emails in there and it does it for me. So you got to get comfortable with how to use AI to solve your everyday problems before you can ever do that for anybody else. So let's talk about the first success story, Magnus the Eloquent. You'll see that I love to name all of my tools. What is Magnus the Eloquent? Magnus the Eloquent is a content repurposing tool. Now, this is outside of the realm of healthcare. And I wanted to show you this just to show you how else your nursing knowledge applies. I had a referral from a friend of mine. There was a media company who had produced a TV show. They wanted to actually use that TV show to be able to actually host on a platform for a monthly fee. And they had very high quality content. It's TV grade content is what they've created. And what we did is we actually took all the transcripts of all of their shows, put it inside an AI system that I built. And I called this system was already called Magnus the Eloquent. But the way that it works is it takes content you've already produced, whether it's papers you wrote in school, emails you've previously written, whether it's just things that you've written on your own LinkedIn post, it's YouTube content, whatever it is, and it turns it into another form. So in this instance, we took the transcripts from their show and turned it into a system that produces LinkedIn posts with a simple prompt. And the reason why it is so good is because all it does is take what you've already done and turn it into another form. That's it. And so the social media manager has been able to save a tremendous amount of time. And they have been able to get onto a new platform that they did not know how to do. Anybody who posts on LinkedIn knows there's a very specific format that we use. And it's going to take a lot of work for somebody who is not used to posting on LinkedIn, who is not used to actually leveraging these types of tools to be able to do that. So what did I do? I built a tool that does it for them. So they pay me a one-time build fee of $5,000 and a monthly retainer. It's been 4 months since I built this. So this right here alone is what allowed me to cross that 10K. 4 months, 5 months. We started in May. Yes, yeah, fine. So, well, the next pay that they pay me is going to cross that 10K mark for one tool. One tool. It's pretty cool. So this is how it works. There's a database where all the LinkedIn posts are stored. You just type in here, and then it creates that post for you. Pretty cool, right? Number 2, Violet the Curious. This is my pride and joy here. This is my pride and joy. This is a perfect example of what happens when you pay attention to the issues that are unique to healthcare. So here's how the story goes. I went to actually see a PCP. I was like, all right, let me just quickly run and see what's going on here. And I had been building some AI tools. And so for me, I just like to talk to people about what it is that I'm doing. You got to test the market. Remember, we're talking about assessing. So I was talking to my physician and I was like, yeah, I've been building this, building that. Would you guys ever have a use case for that? And then something I had mentioned caught his eye. So he put me in touch with the clinic owner, who's also a physician. And we won't get into all the details, but we had to put that initial project on hold. But then she reached back out to me, be like, do you have anything that helps people get more reviews? Well, actually, yes, I did. They had a new physician that was starting and they needed to help this guy get some reviews so that he could then get some more patients. So what did I do? I built a system where you have the ability to put in the patient's first name. You can then go and put in the phone number and the physician that they saw. And what it will do is it will send a text message to that person to say, thanks for coming in, Joey. Thanks for seeing Dr. Jimmy. And we would love if you left us a review. And then it signs off with the name of the clinic. Now, the reason this is so effective is twofold. Number one, it actually is a lot of work for physicians to actually encourage patients to do a review in a way that's not weird. Because that's the thing. It feels weird because now that patient might feel like, oh, if I don't give a good review, then they're not going to give me proper care next time, which is super awkward. And so this is why most doctors will never do that. They'll just have a little card at the front and they'll encourage you, but they're not going to say much. Usually it'll be the front desk staff. The front desk staff don't really care because they're going to get paid the same whether or not there are patients, right? So what happened? We installed this system and we actually ended up getting them now it's been about 55, 60 5-star reviews since we've implemented this. But in the first 14 days, it was between 30, 35, somewhere around there. And they jumped up from a 3.0 to a 4, which was tough for them because they had, I think it was like 46 5-star reviews and then like 41 star reviews, not because of the care that was being provided, but simply because the angry people are the ones who give feedback the most. So it made it very simple for them to be able to streamline the process of hearing from people who were actually happy with the care being provided, but just never had been asked up until that point. Again, the good book says you do not have because you do not ask. And so we made the asking easy. And then what happens when the client gets that text message? All they do is press the link and immediately they're taken to the spot where you just put in your comment, or maybe you just put 5 stars and then just press OK. And that's it. Most people choose to leave a comment because they're very happy about the care that they're being provided with there. And so this, I will tell you right now, I severely undersold this. I severely undersold it. This is the power of using the nursing process. I did not expect that it would transform their online reputation just like that. I should have charged much more for this, but it's okay. You live and you learn. I'm just really excited to see that something that I built actually made a tremendous difference. So, of course, then she was like, okay, I need to get the rest of my clinics on here. And the rest is history. So, this is how I made my first 10K. And it's been more than 10K at this point, right? Because we've got these online monthly retainers coming in, which is beautiful. So, this is just from one set of products. These are just mini apps. They're not complicated. The app is literally one screen. It's one screen. So if something broke down, which inevitably it will, it's technology, I was able to fix that myself. So I know that we all are very ambitious on today's masterclass, but how many of you would actually have a significant difference made in your financial situation if you were able to net an upfront payment, 7,000, monthly recurring payments of 1,500? How much of a difference would that make for you? Let me know in the chat. Would that make a difference? Would that not make a difference? Let me know. Again, I know we're very ambitious. We got future millionaires on today's masterclass. But just think about if you were to get a $1,500 a month raise, how much of a difference would that make for you? I know it made a big difference for me, but that's just me. I'm curious to know about you. All right. Maybe it's just me. Let's see. The beauty of the model is the simplicity, right? And so, more than anything else, that's what I want you to take away from this. It is not anything crazy. It's not anything super complex. It's not anything that is going to be something that is outside of the realm of what you can do, which we're going to see in a moment here. I mentioned at the start of this masterclass that we are going to do a live build. We are almost at that point. So if you have an idea for an app, get ready to type it into the chat here because we're about to get in there. Let's see. Okay, there are some people that'll make a difference for. Yeah, Nicole said that'll make a big difference for her. Yeah. I don't know of anybody who's ever gotten a $1,500 a month raise ever. Let's see. Yeah, cheapers are the same thing. Okay. Robin made more money in real estate than nursing in over 25 years. I believe it, which is painful. But that's the value of entrepreneurship. Real estate is I say, very valuable form of entrepreneurship. You working for yourself. And that's the thing. But I'm sure you use all of the skills of therapeutic communication, rapport building, all these things that you have learned and have made you a phenomenal nurse over the past 25 years, right? Yeah, make more money as a nurse is tough because you get paid for your time, right? And so for me, there was a time I was picking up 4 overtime shifts per pay period. I was at a 0.79, 8 extra shifts a month. Yeah, I made 175,000 that year. But what did it cost me? It cost me waiting until the last minute to pick up when they finally went to overtime. So I wasn't able to make plans because I'm always prioritizing overtime. I didn't enjoy living my life like that at all. Right, Joshua, that's the goal. With some marketing, it will grow. Ooh, I would love to hear what it is you're currently working on. John Martins, it will make a clear difference. Yep, I figured. Nursing plan is a business plan. Poetry. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Where are you reading my slides, Robin? Oh, Joel. Oh, glad to see you on here. I like this. Patient assignment for each shift. Still writing with pen and paper. Crazy, right? My goodness. All righty. The enlightened informatics process. As I mentioned, the nursing process is a phenomenal framework. But I went and I tweaked it a little bit, and now we call it the enlightened informatics process. It clearly walks us through how we are going to use this exact framework that I talked about to actually create an app. So how do we do that? We start with assessing. We've beat this one to death, but we really need to start with that. Who is it that we're going to serve? What are their problems? And how are we going to go about fixing it? Step one. Then we lay that out with delineation. So we replace diagnose with delineate. What is the workflow gap? Okay, so in the example of Magnus the Eloquent, the workflow gap is that their target audience for this show is not on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. They're on LinkedIn by demographic. Okay, so it's very different to create content on LinkedIn than it is on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. So there's a huge gap there. That's the workflow gap. For Violet, when it came to the reviews, the workflow gap is that physicians are physicians. They don't have time to be going in and asking patients to do that. And it just makes it weird, compromises the therapeutic rapport. So they just didn't do it because it's awkward. As a result, it was only the angry people that are leaving The reviews. The other thing I didn't mention that was crazy about the Violet system is that it actually also does automated replies on Google Business Review profiles. So that is also what is wild about it, because again, you must reply to the reviews, whether it's good or bad. That's, everybody knows that. But physicians are physicians. They're prioritizing patient care. They don't have time to be social media managers replying to people in the comments. That's not how it works. So I identified a gap and filled it twice when it came to that. Then plan a minimum viable solution. What that is what we call an MVP, a product, minimal viable product, MVP. In the world of app development, in product development, that's what we call that. We don't need to have the whole thing working in the beginning. We need to be able to solve one problem for one set of clients with one solution. Okay, that's it. And then when people see the value in that, that's when they're going to invest or fund you to be able to build it out. So pick just one problem you're trying to solve, plan it out. Then we implement, evaluate, and support. Implementation, it has to come with support, right? So back to what Robin had said earlier around change theory, this is where this comes in. This is why I have a background in change management. I don't just say, here's the app, here's the solution. I say, I'm coming on site to install it. I'm providing on site support. Anybody who's been through an Epic Go Live, you know how valuable this is, right? They will usually send in Epic consultants. But in my organization, we used local super users, which is why it worked so well. We identified people who were already strong, people who were respected, leaders, charge nurses, not just people who had positions, but people who cared to help people, help their colleagues. And we partnered with them to be able to have a smooth implementation. Then you evaluate. This is another thing. I bring in my informatics experience and I provide data. I provide data support. And then we provide ongoing support. So they feel like we actually care. This is why they'll keep paying you the monthly retainer. You can't just say, well, I built the app, and as long as you got the app, pay me that monthly retainer. No, 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 no. I meet with my clients on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, minimally. In the beginning, we meet in weekly, or I'm on site there providing that support. So they truly know that I care. And so they're going to keep paying that monthly retainer because they get the data, they get the metrics, but they also get the ongoing support. And it also helps that I try as much as possible to add value in any possible way in an ongoing fashion. So this is the part of the conversation. Let me bring myself back up big here for a second. If you have an idea for an app that you've been thinking about, something that will help you, something that will help other people, I want you to be able to go ahead and drop that into the chat for us. And I'm going to pick somebody's idea. Make it a simple one. Remember, we're not going for anything crazy. We're not talking about EMR systems. That's the first system I tried to build, was an EMR system. Very first app. And I actually got quite a bit further than I expected, but don't try to do that. Build something simple. We're not going to compete with Epic. Epic is called Epic for a reason. If you have an idea for a chat for an app, drop that in the chat there. Nicole, I saw that you had mentioned earlier, you're picking up 48 to 60 hours a week to get by for your kids. That's a lot. Your kids are very blessed to have a mom that's hustling like that. And I know that you would love to be able to put that time back to be spending with them instead. So you're in the right spot today. You created an AI app that collects learning and management systems like Blackboard to create data folders for each student. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Yes, that would be something that would be possible. As I'm seeing what other ideas come in, when it comes to linking with other tools and software, so Blackboard is a good example, they have to basically add a doorway for developers to be able to do that. I'm not going to get too technical, but we call that doorway an API, application programming interface, which basically says we can allow you to build something that connects to that. So yeah, theoretically, it could be possible. We'd have to check to see if that documentation is there. But yeah, absolutely. I like the idea of targeting students for learning opportunities. That's a huge one. As I said, education in the AI space is a very, very profitable area. Let's see, API. Yeah, you got it. API, just like that. All right, let's see. We got any ideas for that? I mean, I got one in my mind that we could just do, but I want to see. I'd love to make somebody's app idea come to life in front of them. So let's see. Anybody got an idea for a simple one feature app? If not, no worries. But I would love to gift that app to somebody who is going to then run with it. Let's see if anybody got any ideas. Mm. Patient never knows about. Ooh, I like this idea. Patient never knows about health information. An app where there's a summary along with diagnostic and lab tests that went through. I do like this. So here's what we're going to do, Rupinder. Phenomenal idea. Let's go with it. And what we'll do actually is the portion that we can actually do right now, and we're gonna have it built in less than 10 minutes here. It's gonna be less than that for sure. The lab test part is something that we'd have to, again, this comes back to APIs, right? Where it's going to connect to Epic or whatever system they're using. But the education piece we absolutely can do. So let's do it. So here is how I go about building these apps. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to hop over to my friend ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is amazing for a few different reasons. ChatGPT is accessible, it's simple, it's straightforward to use. You just talk to it like you would talk to a friend. That's what I do, anyways. Some people think it's weird. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm able to achieve my goals, whatever those goals happen to be. So, the first step when we are coming up with an idea for an app is we need to build what we call a product requirement document. And a product requirement document basically tells AI what it is that we are looking to build. So, here's what we're going to do, we're going to type it in here. And we're going to give some requirements. I want the app to be patient friendly and simple so we don't add to their confusion. And you see, I'm making all these typos. I do not care. AI is going to figure it out. And we're going to say we need educational materials from credible sources. Create a product requirement document for this app. All right, let's see. So, yeah, you guys seen all my other chats on the side, and that's fine. See it. You ain't gonna see anything too interesting there. So you can see here that ChatGPT has started our product requirement document. What's the purpose? What are the goals? The target audience. So normally what I would do is I would read through this, and oftentimes I'm going to iterate through that. But oh, I really like that. Oh, I don't like that. I want you to adjust it like this, but it has come up with a really nice framework. We'll focus here at the top here. Just the goals: deliver personalized education, simplify complex medical terms, ensure that the educational materials are from evidence-based sources, phenomenal, reduce patient anxiety and confusion. So it got what we're looking for. It's going to go through and usually have all these technical requirements and things like that. You can see that it's going mobile first, so it's accessible. It's smart enough to know that. It talks about API integration. So yeah, it already knew that we are going to need things like that. And then we are going for the MVP. See, ChatGPT already read my mind. This is great. So we're going to copy this. And then we are going to use another tool that is super beginner friendly, that for those of you who stay till the end, then we're going to talk about how you could actually potentially do this for yourself. We are going to go ahead and we're going to dive in to this right here. So I'm going to switch my share screen here, and we're going to check out this tool called lovable.dev. This is something that for anybody who is very interested in what we've talked about today, strongly recommend you just make a free account and play around with it. The thing that's awesome about Lovable, these are all my projects, we'll come back to that. But there are people who've just made a lot of very high quality projects here that you can play around with. You can see how they've built it, and you can get inspiration. You can even remix it and turn it into your own. And so the thing I also like about this is it's very beginner friendly because it also allows you to set up your database in a simple way. We're not going to do that today, but what we're literally just going to do is slap in that product requirement document. I'm going to say build the MVP for this PRD. And it's going to think. It's going to start thinking. It's going to take some time. In the meantime, let's chat about a couple other things when it comes to app development. Yes, it's great to be able to develop an app, but that's not going to make you money, right? So what I also want to make very clear is that it is equally, if not more important, after you've done the assessment piece, you've planned it out, you've got a minimum viable product, to be very, very wise in how you're going to market yourself. This is why for me, I love creating content. I love doing things like this. I love being on LinkedIn. And that has helped me be able to get very good at articulating myself, my value, and what it is that I could potentially help others solve in terms of problems. And it's also very important as well to be able to talk about who your ideal client avatar is. So you'll remember on the product requirement document, it talked about exactly who it is that this app is for. Target audience is absolutely crucial. And the cool thing here is that ChatGPT was smart enough to know that for older adults, we need some accessibility stuff. We also need to be able to have elements for visual and hearing impairment. I didn't even have to ask for that. Although these are things that we do want to consider, right? Because it's very important that if we know that people are struggling with their health, we do not want to add even one piece of difficulty in interacting with our application. Think about the number of times patients come to you and say, oh, they said I didn't do all this stuff, but they sent me so many emails. It was just so confusing. They sent me to the portal. I didn't understand how to go there. I'm not good with computers. These are very, very, very real problems that people are living with each and every day. And it's on us to use our assessment skills, to use our ability to close that gap, to translate these technical pieces into plain English. Now, the thing I like about Lovable as well is that it gives you the ability to go in and just have a bit of a deeper understanding of what's going on here. So it shows you all of the code here. This is why I told you you don't need to learn how to code in the traditional sense. It has actually gone and it has built out all of this for us. It's built out all of this for us. It's amazing. And so I'm not going to get into all these technical pieces. That's for another day, another opportunity. But what it is doing here is it's going through and it's thinking and it's building, and it thinks for a bit and then it builds, then it thinks and it builds some more. And in just a moment here, we're going to see what it came up with a single prompt. I want you to remember that what you're going to see by no means is a complete app. I'm not saying that that's all it took to build an app. No, 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 no. Let's be realistic here. However, to go from where we just had an idea that Rupinder gave me just a few minutes ago to what we're about to see, this is the moment where I trust that we'll fulfill the promise, which was that I'm going to show you a method that is doable for you, that is not outside of your realm of capability or possibility, that shows you a pathway for how you can take your nursing knowledge to the next level. And if I deliver on that, like I said, just give me a few minutes at the end where I can share a little bit about what it is that you have an opportunity to tap into if this was valuable to you. So let's see. Yeah, I love how long it's been thinking. So some of the other things that we can see that it thought of here is that it needs to have a nice soft color scheme to make it a little bit easier for people to be able to understand what's going on. A mobile first responsive design. What that means is if you have the huge iPhone 17 Pro Max, or you've got the little itty bitty iPhone 12 that came into that much smaller screen size, that it's going to look the same. I'm an Apple guy, as you can tell. I don't really know Android phones. But it also did a great job in breaking down that we need to have a nice little dashboard, that we need to be able to have that educational content in plain language. Great. Love that. Accessible with large fonts. It kind of harks back to what it had been talking about earlier in terms of the accessibility features, and then interactive content cards for easy bookmarking. Genius. I love that. All righty. It's done. And in just a moment, we're about to see this preview. I'm excited. I love this. Now, what I'm going to say, I want you guys to just put what your first reaction was in the chat. Mm. What was your reaction? Y'all saw mine. You saw my reaction. What was yours? Rupinder, I want to see your reaction. Go ahead, drop it. Would you have imagined that with just one prompt, this is how far we could get? It called it Health Ed. And we got our patient portal here. Already knew we were going to need a patient portal. We've got the admin panel. Okay, not bad. Gives us the ability to add new content, to categorize it. This is all placeholder data, obviously, that's showing us here. Oh, I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Amazing. That's what I'm talking about, Rupinder. It was amazing, wasn't it? You weren't expecting all that from one prompt, right? All right, let's see what else do we got here. Let's go back to the patient side. Let's actually take a look at some info. Oh, okay. What is type 2 diabetes? Okay. Oh, and it even put a little mark as complete so we can track it. It's got some nice animation here. Common signs and symptoms, managing diabetes. Oh, this is great. Great progress. You've completed 1 of 3. If I click 2, oh, now 2 of 3, 3 of 3. Excellent. Yeah, I agree, Robin. That was nice, wasn't it? Then it gives us the opportunity to continue learning. See? So there's a good example, right? As I said, it's not a complete app. I would expect that when we go continue learning, it's going to take us back to the screen we were at before. But we do have a back to library. Gives you the ability to save, to share, to listen. Ooh, that's nice. I like that. I didn't even ask for that. Let's go back and see what else is here. Yeah, so it says all content verified by medical professionals. So if you're going to have that there, make sure you back it up. And then it has even these little tags for these different sections, which I presume we would be able to go in and search here by tag. So let's see what happens if we type in lifestyle. Oh, good. And it does work. Yeah, I agree, Miriam. Wild, right? With one prompt. Again, this is literally just one prompt. So if you are in the education space and you have a very powerful idea, and then you approach an organization, you approach a accelerator program, an incubator program, some investors, somebody who's wanting to also be able to deliver something like this, and you show them this, not telling them obviously that you just built this in one prompt, I think we're off to a pretty good start, to be honest, in terms of what you could do. And so, Rupinder, reach out to me over email. I'm going to drop my email here for you. And anybody else who is wanting to learn a little bit more about what it is that we have shown you here today, feel free to reach out here. I'm also going to drop my social media pages in a minute. But Rupinder, since this was such a great idea, I want to make sure I get this into your hands so you can keep working on this. So make sure that you reach out there. Let's wrap up today. Couple other things that I wanted to just chat about, just so you have clean takeaways. Like I said, we're all about practicality here. I'm not going to keep it all theoretical. I also want to be respectful of everyone's time because y'all gave me a lot of time on this fine Wednesday evening. So I don't have too much else to say because I think that we have fulfilled that promise. But if you agree with that, I want you to just go ahead and mention the chat and say fulfilled. If the promise has been fulfilled, that you have seen a pathway where you can use your existing nursing knowledge, your ability to sense gaps, problems, to be able to build something that has the ability to add value to others and to also allow you to get compensated for the value you're adding, just put fulfilled in the chat there. Quick word about AI consulting for education. Most people have absolutely no idea how to do anything when it comes to AI, especially in the healthcare space. So especially if you're an educator or you're somebody who's passionate about teaching, developing curriculums to teach people how to use AI, doing workshops, change management, which Robin, we've been talking a lot about that today, and then strategic guidance. I'm telling you, in the next coming months, you will have emails coming to you from your leadership team about AI integration, guidance around that, and they're going to need volunteers. Make sure you put your hand up. Even if you don't know right now, take what you've learned today, start practicing, pick one tool, and go from there. So our key takeaways is that identifying gaps is the key. Assessment, remember, that's why we always assess as nurses first. That applies here. Pick a simple pricing model, upfront build, monthly retainer, stack that up. Doesn't take many monthly retainers to soon replace your job income, right? For those examples there, 1,500, you just times that by 3, and you're making more money monthly than most people make actively working as a nurse, right? I said we got some people. Robin, you said it was fulfilled. Yeah. Miriam, love that. And then John Martin's glad to hear it. And absolutely, Robin, you can. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. The best way for you to be able to actually circle back and for you to actually step into what it is that we've talked about today. So since I have fulfilled on that, and thank you for your honesty in that, let's talk about how we don't make this happen. The Idea to App Challenge, it starts in 4 weeks' time, just under 4 weeks, actually. The start date is October 6th. Now, the plan is a 1 week challenge where we are going to be meeting intensely Monday to Friday. And it's going to be for 1 hour the first day. We're going to do 45 minutes the next days. And the goal is to actually run through exactly what we did today, but at a slower pace so that you have a truly production ready minimum viable product. We're going to talk about how to research, how to build, how, I love that. See, this is why I should have used AI for spell check for this. A license ready app that solves one real problem for one client using one solution. No coding required. As you saw, I didn't write any of the code, but look at what we developed, and teach you how to leverage your nursing knowledge to be able to deliver tangible results. And so, who is this for? People who are not techie, but are excellent problem solvers, nurses and clinicians. Again, this is not just for nurses. We're going to teach you how to do it regardless of who you are, but we are going to use the nursing process as the foundation for what we do because it's just so powerful. And beginners who want a step-by-step pathway to be able to land their first client. You're also going to get access to the Clinician Builder School community. And that's where we're going to be active in the 4 weeks before the launch of the challenge. Because building in a community is way, way, way more fun than trying to do all this stuff on your own. I love to hear this, Karen. I trust that this is going to scratch that itch to learn a little bit more. Now, the beauty of being able to leverage what it is that we've talked about today, specifically your nursing knowledge. The reason why this is as valuable as it is simply because we are at the beginning. We are still at the very, 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 very beginning stages of all of this. And so those who are acting fast but acting smart are the ones who are going to win. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the Idea to App Challenge. So for those of you who already know that this is what you are going to do, that this is your opportunity to act on what it is that you have been waiting to be able to do. You've known for a while that you absolutely have value to add and you are not being properly compensated for the value you know you're truly capable of adding. This is your opportunity. Go ahead and jump into the challenge. But if you have questions, you also have the opportunity to book a call with me, to reach out over email. I mentioned I'm going to drop my socials here, which I will do in a moment. But the one thing that I want to make sure that we take away just as we wrap up here, because I want to be respectful of your time. What I don't want to have happen here is that you're going to take what you've heard today, think about it, think about how cool it was that we built Rupinter's app in literally just a few minutes into something that you could show potential investors, that you could show potential customers, that you could take to maybe your organization to say, why don't we have a tool like this? Would you support me building a tool like this? What I don't want to have happen is for you to hear all of that, be excited, and not take action. We all know that we've been in those situations where like, oh, this could totally transform my life. And then we get excited. And because we get all excited, that dopamine kicks in and we feel like because our reward centers have been activated that we've actually done something when we haven't. Don't let that be you. And so we're going to leave it at that. The Idea to App Challenge starts October 6th. It will run for 1 week. And we may do this challenge again, we may not. But what I know is that there will be a few of you who will take that step. There will be a few of you who will also build apps that net you that passive income that you're talking about. And there'll probably be a very small subset of you that I'll be reading about in the papers one day when you get acquired by a major health tech firm because you had a genius idea that you then nurtured after you came to today's masterclass and that you ran with that idea until somebody that worked in a company that had lots of money and were hungry to be able to acquire your technology heard about you and bought you out for $10 million, $12 million, because you took what you heard today. That's what I'm eagerly running towards. Compathia AI is going to be that thing. Joel can testify to that. Althea can testify to that. It is going to be that thing. And so it's up to you, though. Ultimately speaking, when you hear something that excites you, just know that you're on a ticking time bomb. The moment that we decide that we are ready to move forward and we choose not to act, there's that cognitive dissonance that then shows us that maybe we weren't as ready as we thought. Doubt creeps in. Can I really do this? That's the reason why we talked about the myths. No, you don't need to know how to code. No, you don't need a lot of upfront cash. And no, the market is not saturated. No, it's not. Anybody who tells you otherwise simply doesn't know what they're talking about. And it's also not true that AI is just going to be a passing fad. That's what Blockbuster thought about Netflix, and look at where they're at. That's what BlackBerry thought about Apple, and look at where they at. These are things that we don't even talk about anymore, other than in memes. So let's make sure that that doesn't happen. I'm going to go ahead and drop my social links in here, and then we'll call it a day. Like I said, I'm trying to be respectful of everyone's time, but I'm glad that I was able to add just a little bit of value to your day. What will make me more excited, though, like I said, is to actually hear about you in the papers because you are one of those people who decided that they were actually going to act on what you heard today. There's nothing that excites me more than seeing nurses finally get compensated for the work that they've been doing all along. But up until now, just had no pathway to be able to truly execute on. And I know that there's going to be more than a few of you guys that are going to be part of that. So there we go. I'm going to drop my socials into the chat here. Check out a couple of different things in there. I was also recently featured in CEO Weekly. Feel free to read what they chatted about me about there. And I look forward to seeing those of you who are going to take that step on the challenge. If you have any questions, y'all know where to reach me. Take care, stay blessed, but most importantly, take action.